Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Affiliate Marketing Academy. I'm your host, Olivia, and today we're talking about how affiliates can crush it with email marketing. We are joined today with Kyle Dana, the Director of Marketing at Digistore24, and Mark Gaudet, who is from Maripost. So stick around, and I hope you guys learn a ton. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Kyle and Mark. Today we're talking about how affiliates can crush it using email marketing. And before we start that, I just want to give Mark and Kyle a chance to just quickly intro themselves. So Mark, if you can go ahead and let the audience know who you are.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm a partner channel advisor here at Maripost. Basically, we are a marketing automation solution for people that send a lot of email but want to communicate with their customers in a way where they're using multiple channels. And, our platform and our service is really built for people that, again, need to send high volumes of email. And I guess if you're an affiliate marketer, you definitely have probably heard about our name. If not, then today will probably be a good opportunity and introduction to us. And, on my side at the business, I'm really focused on helping new customers get acquainted with the platform, see if there's a fit or an opportunity for us to help them improve their deliverability, improve their engagement rates, and ultimately help them just generate more revenue, more sales through email, SMS, social, or whatever capabilities they're looking for. But email is really the bread and butter where most people start on our platform for.
Awesome.
Well, hey guys, I'm Kyle. I'm Director of Marketing at Digistore24. Before holding this position, I was running an email list management agency for a few years. I'm actually a longtime user of Maripost. So yeah, quite a bit of email knowledge over the past several years. And hopefully I'll be able to teach everyone here a few things to, increase their revenue through using email as an affiliate.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the intros, guys. So we'll just get into a few questions here. We'll start out with, is email marketing still a good channel for marketers and brands to use? And I'll have Mark start off with that question.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Olivia. So I think when we look at it, I would have to say absolutely. And it's not just because, our platform helps with email marketing. We do a number of channels, social, SMS, but by and far in between, email is still the most cost-effective way to communicate with your customers, with your subscribers, with people that you want to get in touch with. And when we look at it, it's still, even with all the ISP algorithms, even with all the updates, even with all of the, restrictions or parameters you need to abide by to get your emails inboxed, you still have more control over your messaging and your delivery than maybe some of those other channels. So when we look at channels like Facebook, I have a lot of friends that are in the affiliate marketing space that are maybe selling health supplements. Well, good luck putting up your ad campaigns over there in Facebook. A lot of the times things are getting restricted, they're getting taken down. There's a lot of limitations which affect your ability to acquire new subscribers through that channel that didn't exist in the past. And so, when we look at that, you don't really have control over those platforms, but you do have more control over your email list and what you send to people. So for that reason, when people ask that question and they're like, is email still relevant? Is it still alive? Is it going anywhere soon? I don't think so for that reason. But then also when you look at it, like think about how ingrained we are with using our email to register or sign up for a platform, right? Whether somebody's in their 50s, their 40s, their 30s or 20s, whatever, email has typically been that unique identifier, which has linked profiles and people to every single thing that they're doing. And so when we look at that, I think for that reason, email is still going to be very relevant going forward. And I don't see it going away anytime soon. What about you, Kyle?
Yeah, I fully agree with that. I'd say if there's one takeaway I have for affiliates listening on this, because there's probably a lot of affiliate marketers listening to this chat now, is, right, if you build an email list, that's an asset that you fully own. So a lot of affiliates are doing, let's say, paid media, which is cool. And they're, let's say, sending Facebook ads and making sales, but you don't own that email address of that buyer afterwards. Whereas if you buy an email list, you have another 364 days of the year where you can sell these people other products, right? So I think email in that sense is amazing for brands. Like most e-com brands that I speak to, like a good 30% of their sales or more are coming from email. So for brands as well, it's a super profitable channel. I'd say like, a lot of people are used to email and people are creatures of habit. So like people are used to already using email for staying connected with brands. And it's just a really great way to build a relationship with, your buyers or your subscribers by, emailing them and then, being able to have the freedom to sell to them afterwards. I know like SMS was supposed to take over email, let's say a few years ago, but SMS with the compliance, the cost, having to have such a short message, it's just email. You just have a lot more flexibility. You can have all kinds of automations, whether it's, recovering abandoned carts and stuff like that. So I'd say, email is alive and well, and definitely for affiliates, if you can build an email list, you have these, subscribers that you can sell to over and over again. So definitely still a super high ROI profitable channel.
Yeah, those are all really good points, especially the point about how with paid advertising, you have all those restrictions. I feel like there are still some restrictions with email, but not nowhere as like Facebook ads.
Yeah.
And I know you like touched up on this, Mark, but you did speak about how you don't think it's going away anytime soon. But if you can elaborate a little bit more on that, just so like you know a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, like when we look at it again, like the majority of businesses that are using our platform and that are looking at solutions or having these conversations every day with us, everything stems from email, right? So like when I think about it not going anywhere soon, I mean, everyone knows that, your emails are acquiring subscribers, growing your emails, you're having more control over that list, like Kyle was saying, and it's somebody you can need to remarket to, for a very cost-effective channel. I just don't see anything more cost-effective. So from a long-term perspective, like seeing it going away, I don't see it going away anytime soon for that reason. And even to that point, just to kind of piggyback off what Kyle was saying, he was saying, SMS, there's a lot more compliance, there's a lot more restrictions. He's absolutely right. We have many customers on our platform that are using SMS as well, but they're not using SMS in the same capacity that they're using email. They might use it as follow-ups, they might use it as part of their sequence of their automations or triggers. But at the end of the day, they're using it far less than email, because email does give you a lot more of that control. It's the most cost-effective channel. And yes, while you're absolutely right, Olivia, there still is restrictions and ISP restrictions. There's nowhere as many restrictions compared to when we think about social advertisements or when we think about SMS, by and far. So email, it's still there. And like to that point, just look at how many emails you get. Like more and more brands, if you look at the statistics, are actually using email today that have been using it in the past. And that's another challenge we need to discuss, is like, how do you stand out in the inbox now with all of these brands sending more emails, because it's so much more cost effective, and people can start an email a list probably easier than they can with getting started on Facebook advertisements and with starting on SMS as well.
Great points, Mark. And just to elaborate that, like you see a lot of offer owners, product owners in our space, like actually the way that they make profits is through email. It's like most of them break even on like the sales that they generate, whether it's through media buying or through affiliates sending their offer. They usually break even on that sale, and how they're actually making profits is on the back end of things. So that kind of shows you as well that like email is still a main way that companies are making bottom line profit. And something that kind of I want to mention before. So at Digistore, we actually have an email list management division where we help product and offer owners, list owners make more money from their email. And some of our lists are in the men's health niche, right? So let's say like erectile dysfunction. And a lot of people don't want to be searching on Google for products like that because it's a sensitive subject. They don't want that kind of track. Whereas email, it also gives a more like intimate kind of private way to learn about products and go ahead and purchase products. So yeah, I find that's super interesting as well, which is why email is still like a really great channel. The last thing I just want to mention is email is definitely not going away anytime soon, but for sure, as you've seen, Mark, it's a lot trickier to do email well. There's more competition, there's tracking issues. Delivering email to the inbox is a lot harder. So I would just say not going anywhere soon, but a lot trickier to do email marketing well. So you have to put a bit more effort, maybe use experts or a good email service provider like you guys, Maripost, to just be able to still do email successfully.
It's a good point, Kyle. And the reason why I wanted to point that out too is like we talk about at a high level, we're talking about, there's all these restrictions with all these different platforms. There's changes. even with ISP algorithms and with doing email. And when we think about that, just to give you an example, like this is why it's so important to partner with the right platform based on what you're trying to accomplish. Whether it's Digistore24, whether it's a Maripost for email or for SMS or social, because at the end of the day, like these are platforms or these are tools that can allow you to grow your business. But, as a user, you need to be working with a team that can help you to get the most out of that platform, right? Or out of that service. And so when we think about it, just giving you one example of like changes to algorithms that affect deliverability for maybe somebody running affiliate offers. Well, let's say you're sending out, we had clients, some of them maybe were sending out to a large list of, Comcast mailbox providers or B2B providers. And then some of them might be sending out to AOL or Gmail. Well, what happens if you're sending out all these emails, everything has been delivered. The next day, for some reason, you find that you're getting blocked or you have to do retries to get into the inbox. You may not know why that's actually a challenge as a person, because you may not know the ISP algorithms or changes that have happened. And so you keep banging your head against the wall, just sending these emails thinking it's the ESP's fault, it's the email provider's fault. That's why we're not getting in. It's not. It's the mailbox providers that have changed the algorithms a lot, but you don't know what those algorithms are because they don't publicly tell you what that is. So how do you figure out what that is? Well, you need to be working with a team that has deliverability experts that communicates with the mailbox providers and can see, okay, what is the issue? Why are these not happening? Oh, you wanted us to actually, instead of your old updates, they might have said retry these emails. It might have been saying retry them in 20 minutes. Well, actually, they might give us feedback and say they need to be retried in 5 minutes because we've updated our algorithm. Now, all of a sudden, the emails get inboxed. So there's things that are changing on a daily basis that are happening from a technical perspective on the back end that a user or an email marketer or affiliate marketer doesn't have time to learn about or follow up on, which is why, partnering with the right platform, Digistore24, to help them be able to monetize their offers the most effectively, train them, show them how to set things up, and the right service provider on the email side that's going to help them ensure they get the delivery. And these is just one example of things that change or restrictions or things that have happened, in the email space sometimes from time to time based on what mail inbox provider or ISPs that you're sending to on your email list.
Awesome. Really great point. I was actually the next thing I was going to talk about was, I know for email marketing, the most important thing is first getting good deliverability and inboxing. So I know you just touched up on this, but what would you say are some of the best practices to follow?
Okay, so this is a good question. So I would say that by and far in between, the first thing that's the most important is making sure you have the right technical setup, right? Because when we look at deliverability and inboxing, like short-term and long-term, you have to make sure that the technical setup is done. Your MX records, right? Your SPF, your DKIM, your DMARC. So all of that stuff needs to be foundationally set up correctly. And then when you look at that, then you need to make sure either if you're emailing to a list or if you're emailing from a new platform, you need the proper warm-up strategy for that list, right? That's another thing that's going to be important for short-term and long-term deliverability, because we need to make sure that the IPs and then the domains develop a solid reputation. So I think those are the foundational things that we need to sort of look at. But then what are some best practices or things that as a marketer, as you're growing your list, are important for deliverability and inboxing? And so number one is always going to be collecting opted-in subscribers, right? If you purchase a list, nobody knows who you are, and you start spamming them or messaging them through any platform, you're probably going to get blocked pretty quickly. And you're probably going to run into some severe deliverability challenges, which is obviously going to affect your placement. Not only will you not get inboxed, eventually you'll just get blocked entirely. So it won't even go to spam or promotions. So that's a big thing that would be the first thing you should be looking at when you're building your list. I think the other thing is setting the proper expectation up front, right? And what I mean by that is when people opt in to receive messages from you, that they know what types of messages they're going to receive from you, that they get an idea of maybe the frequency that they're going to be getting these messages from as well. Because again, we're thinking long term. We're thinking about developing a relationship with these people, not just for 30 days to make a sale But, what Kyle will probably go into too is like talking about like the long-term aspect. He mentioned earlier, like, look, when you have somebody as an email, you can market to these people 365 days of the year. Well, if you're developing a relationship with them, they'll stay on your list for many, many, many years. And so that's another piece that's important to deliverability and inboxing. And then I would also do things like have a sunset policy, right? So, for people that are not engaging, not opening your email after 30, 60, 90 days, like have some type of policy that maybe removes them from your active list and puts them in like a non-engaged list, right? Because that's going to affect your deliverability as well. How high is, how many people are opening, how many people are actually clicking and engaging. And if we're continually sending to people that never open, that can affect our deliverability over time as well. So those are some of the things that I would think are the most important. And then, the other thing is like having segmentation. So like that's probably the fourth thing I would add. There's like properly segmenting your list. So what I mean by that is like, okay, have a segment for people that are most engaged. We really want to be messaging these people most frequently because that's going to build a solid domain reputation. That's going to build a good IP reputation, which is going to help with deliverability over the long term. You don't want to just be sending constantly to people that are unengaged. Or if you want to do a reactivation campaign, maybe you start seeding those in gradually with your actives so that you're not just blasting a bunch of people that never open, which is going to impact your deliverability very, very poorly. Having segments for your buyers, right? Having segments for people that have purchased multiple products, right? Segments is going to be very huge, as well as maintaining that relationship. So those are like the four things I would kind of think about, when we're looking about deliverability, engagement from a long-term perspective. That was a lot. I mean, Kyle, what are your thoughts on that? I'm sure there's some things I'm missing and some specific things you could dive right in on.
Yeah, it's funny. I could probably talk about deliverability all night because I have so much experience and it's kind of a fun challenge as an email marketer to face. Yeah, all your points are super valid. I guess first, just for anyone who's listening who is kind of new to email marketing, delivery and deliverability are two different things, right? So delivery is just that the email is being sent to, let's say, a subscriber, but deliverability is it's actually going to the inbox and not to the spam folder or promo folder. I'd say, yeah, for specifically affiliate marketing, like a lot of people will grab affiliate swipe or creative that an offer owner provides or an affiliate manager provides, which is a big mistake because that same creative has probably been copy pasted and sent from thousands of other affiliates. And so even if it's the first time you send it, that creative might have been fingerprinted. What that means is ISVs might have seen that creative and maybe other email lists have complained about it, have said it's spam. And so if you send it verbatim, copy paste, your email is going to go to spam because ISVs are like, oh, I've seen that creative and other people have complained about it before. So a big thing is if you're an affiliate, if you're sending emails and an offer owner or affiliate manager gives a creative to use, I've heard it change about 40% of that copy so that it seems unique for ISPs. So that's a really big tip I would give. That's super actionable that you can take away from this right away. I say, yeah, segmentation, like you said, is huge. Like, let's say you're starting an email list tomorrow. You want to make sure that your first emails, your welcome series, that has really good open rates. So if there's people that just aren't opening, aren't clicking, right? You want to kind of move those people to the side and set segments based off engagement so that you're only sending to people that are opening or clicking. I generally aim for 20, 25% plus open rates. In the past, let's say like you weren't doing things super by the book, it was pretty easy to like re-improve your domain reputation, your IP reputation. That's not the case anymore. So I'd say, yeah, just make sure that you're doing things well from the start, following all best practices. Because if all of a sudden Gmail kind of dislikes you, then you're probably going to have a hard time kind of inboxing well with Gmail. So I'd say, yeah, the tech stuff, like you said, makes a lot of sense. And then just from a copy perspective, just make sure that you're avoiding words that are more likely to get you the spam folder, to the promo folder, and do tests before you send an email, because there's different tools you can use to kind of see if your email is probably going to inbox well or not. But I say, yeah, the segmentation is a big thing. The tech setup is a big thing, and just, yeah, following all those best practices that probably both Mark and I have mentioned. Yeah, I'm sure there's some things I'm missing because there's so much, but those are probably most of the key things.
there's this is a huge topic that we could literally do another session on, but like to your point, Kyle, like you raised a lot of good points. And one of the things that was really important was that whole delivery versus deliverability thing. See, a lot of people come in and they're like, well, they think their delivery is very good. So they're like, hey, I'm getting 98% or 99% on my ASP. So, but why are my open rates or why are my click-through rates going down? Why are my engagement rates? Why are my sales not as high as they were 2 months ago? My delivery looks just as higher. But what people fail to realize is like, okay, maybe they were being delivered, but you don't know where they were being delivered to. See, that report that you're looking at, they could have went to spam. They could have went to the promotions folder, right? They didn't necessarily go to the inbox, right? And so this is where these tools and testing come into play, like what you were mentioning, Kyle, where there's ways to check your content to understand or get a better idea of like where this is going to land before you actually click send on that email. And there's ways to get reports that can help you identify, what is probably going to be your inbox placement for sending this email out to the different ISPs or mailboxes on your list before you click send. And so that's another tool that I think a lot of our customers at Mirapost really get value from. We have a product called Inbox Aware where we actually can help with monitoring inbox placement, right? So the actual deliverability of that email, because that's really what people care about, right? They care about, do my emails go to the inbox? Not just where they deliver. Do they go to the inbox? What's going to give people the best chance to see it and action that email? And coincidentally, the more of those that are continuing to go to the inbox and that people are actually acting on, well, that's going to produce a much better long-term relationship where the emails will subsequently continue to go into the inbox, not just be delivered. Because remember, we're looking for inbox placement, and that's really what people sort of are looking for when they come and have a conversation with us, especially in the affiliate marketing space.
Yeah. Last thing I'd say, so then we'll probably move on, is just like to put in perspective how important deliverability is. You can have the most amazing affiliate offer that you're promoting, highest converting in the world. You have the best subject line, the best email copy. But if that email goes to the spam folder or the promo folder and not the inbox, you're making $0 on that, right? Unless there's the rare people that are checking those other folders, like doesn't matter how good the offer or the email is, people just aren't going to see it, right? So yeah, just make sure for anyone listening who's doing emails, get good deliverability. If you want to improve the deliverability, speak with Mark, speak with myself, because it's definitely the number one thing to make sure that you're going to have email marketing success, or it starts with that.
Awesome. That was super thorough. I love that. And the explanation about deliverability and delivery, like the differences, I feel like a lot of people don't know that. So thanks guys for putting that out there. And so what makes a good affiliate offer for email, you would say, Kyle?
Yeah, for sure. So that's a super great question. I'd say first and foremost, like I would look at the metrics and stats of an affiliate offer. So the stats I look at first is average order value. Does an offer have a high AOV, meaning like on average per sale, right? The average order might be $150, $200, which is generally good. So I want to offer that has a high AOV. Of course, I want to offer that hopefully gives a good commission. Whether it's a good rev share percentage or a good CPA, because generally the higher the commission, the higher the AOV, you're going to be making more for every sale, right, that you bring about. Of course, conversion rate is important. You want to be promoting an offer that is converting well. And the last metric I'd say is earnings per click is a pretty good metric to see if an offer is right to promote as an affiliate. So whether those stats are provided or if you want to speak with other affiliates, like if an offer has a good EPC, that's generally an indication that's probably a pretty good offer. I aim for at least $1 EPC, generally a little bit more. So I would say definitely look at the stats, make sure that an offer has healthy stats before anything else. And then I would just check out the sales page. So whether it's a TSL or VSL, make sure that the sales page looks good. There's probably a good storyline that's used that kind of invokes emotion that's going to get someone to, take out their credit card and buy. There's good kind of content surrounding the product. Hopefully there's something unique about the product, whether it's the mechanism or let's say it's a supplement, the ingredients, because as long as you have that, then you can craft really good content for your email affiliate promotion. So I would look at the stats and just kind of the content and storyline and, product itself.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Kyle. And you hit all of those on the head. And I think when I think about it, especially people that are newer into the space, when there's an offer that has proven results, right, that there's going to be good commission potential for them to actually earn on it, and then when there's good assets that they can leverage, right, to help them get started, with creating their own sales pages, their own emails, I think that's where we start to see people really get some legs under those affiliate offers and perform very well. I think that's what you guys do tremendous is helping organizations that are looking to promote the right offers really get set up on the right foot. I mean, I think that's your whole platform is sort of geared towards that in your service model. And so when I think about it as well, it kind of relates back to, yes, having good assets, but then also to your point, you mentioned this earlier, which is going to affect deliverability, is also learning how to take those assets that have proven to be successful in those offers and really make them your own. And I'm sure we'll talk about that later if we start talking about some of the cool things like AI and what are the things that you do, with some of your list management. But, that's just the one thing I would kind of piggyback on top of everything you said.
Yeah, that makes sense. And just to go off of that, Kyle, do you think there are certain niches that do better than others via email?
Yeah, so I'd say in general, almost any niche, right, will work for email. Definitely from what I've seen, health and wellness does amazingly well. I think part of it is like for certain sub niches, like kind of men's health, it's just a more discreet way for them to purchase. But in general, from what I've seen is like older demographics like email a lot and like to purchase from email. So that's why like health and wellness tends to do really well, because a lot of those offers are generally geared towards a bit of an older demographic. Not always, but often. Otherwise, from my personal experience, like personal development does really well, business investments, so like financial offers, crypto offers. But I'd say, yeah, pretty much every niche works well. There's different strategies that you might have to employ. But from what I've seen, health and wellness is definitely number one.
Awesome. And what are some of the best practices for email subject lines and creatives that you guys can think of?
Yeah, I can start with that, Mark, and then have you kind of add in any points. So I'd say like another big takeaway, and I discussed this actually with Mark yesterday, is like every element of your email marketing has a different purpose, satisfies a different goal. So that's really something I would keep in mind first is like subject line, the goal is to get someone to open, right? Simply put. Then you have the email body that is going to get someone to hopefully click. So a big actually mistake I see a lot of email marketers make is they're trying to sell so hard in their email, but there's probably a really optimized, high converting sales page that either you created, or if you're an affiliate, the offer owner created, that you don't have to sell so hard in the email. There's already somewhere you're linking to where it's going to do that job, right? So for me, like subject line, get someone to open, email, get someone to click, right? And then you have the sales page that's going to sell them. In general, I find that there are certain subject lines that I see work really well in the kind of affiliate promotional space. So I'll give some examples mostly with the health space, but I've seen subject lines that have a really specific benefit, a specific time frame without giving away the product does really well. So an example, let's say for a weight loss offer, might be like lose 30 pounds in less than 30 days with this, right? Or let's say a diabetes offer, it's drink this to lower your blood sugar levels overnight. That's a little bit spammy, but just to kind of give an example, right? You have this really big benefit, specific time frame, but I'm not mentioning the product, right? So if you have diabetes or if you want to lose weight, you're probably going to click on that subject line. Kind of touching on what we spoke about before, like Mark said, there's so many other marketers out there now using email, so you have to stand out. So Olivia, I'm sure you remember when we had Kenneth on another episode, and I think his tagline was
thinking that.
Yeah, it was weird but relevant. So
right.
I would say like don't be afraid to be creative and kind of stand out. It's like I was hanging out with Mark not long ago in Montreal, right? And we were walking on the street, and if I said, "Hey, Mark, did you see that black Camry?" Camry's a great car, but he probably would say, "Oh, I don't know, I didn't see it," right? But hey, Mark, did you see that lime green Lamborghini? He'd probably remember that Lamborghini. So I try and be really, really creative with my subject lines and have things that kind of stand out. other than that, I'd say for subject lines, like listicles still, in my experience, do pretty well. So maybe the 5 best foods to burn belly flab quickly, or I don't know, something like that. Like listicles do well. And yeah, I would just say, and I think your question was mostly about subject line, but I would say just like to recap for subject lines, I would just say, yeah, don't be afraid to kind of test and try new things and split test. Like we don't split test enough. And if you don't have a good subject line, someone isn't going to open, right? So it's kind of like a hook, right? For a Facebook ad or a YouTube ad, take time to not be lazy and come up with different subject lines and really kind of test, because you never know what's going to work, right? Like there's like some of the bigger mailers out there, like their best subject line, I know BioTrust was an example I gave yesterday, Mark. I think their best subject line was cashews, right? And it's super random. I forget the story behind it, if it was a mistake. But right, like if you got an email that maybe not cashews, but let's say cashews and diabetes, right? You'd probably open that because it's just very curiosity invoking. So I'd say, yeah, focus on kind of piquing people's curiosity or tickling kind of an emotion. That's going to get them to, right, open to kind of learn more about cashews, diabetes. All right, I'm pretty curious. Let me see what this is all about, kind of thing.
You hit the nail on the head with everything, Kyle. And like what really resonated with me about what you said is like how a lot of this goes back to like human emotion. And we talked about that, yesterday as well. You know, when we think about like what are some of those best subject lines, right? Are they eliciting humor? Are they eliciting, scarcity in that? Are they eliciting curiosity, right? Those are the ones we see that tend to, in general, get a lot of those higher open rates to get people to actually engage with the email. And, one of the examples, just kind of thinking about this, and again, this is more like I have a friend that does a daily newsletter, and it's called Daily Motivation, right? And so his subject line is, and this one actually just goes back, it's very simple, but it's something where people are looking forward to receiving this message every day. So his email subject line in this case is just like your daily motivation. So people know when they open that up, they're going to see new quotes for their daily motivation that's going to help them, start their day right. And it's just like a 5-day thing. So he's built this relationship with his list that when they opted in, they knew exactly what to expect. Every day you're going to receive this daily motivation. You'll be able to read it in under 3 minutes and it will start your day right. And these are the things you're going to feel. And so people just go in and they know what to see. And so his open rates are very, very, very high. But it's very simple, right? Because he started off with setting the right expectation. He's still eliciting human emotion because people are coming to expect this positive surge of adrenaline or positive endorphin feeling when they get their daily active motivation. So that's one example that was just top of mind that I thought I would add in there. Again, when we think about like subject lines and using emotion to get the best engagement.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say just a couple last points. Again, kind of like deliverability, we can talk about email content quite a bit. But I'd say like just like some other things I'm seeing is like, right, in addition to subject line, you have your pre-header text, or some people call it preview text. And so that's more real estate that you can use to get someone to open. So I'd say use that if you can to support the subject line. And just some other things is like, you can personalize emails where, let's say you start off with hi first name, right, in the email body, but you can also use first name in the subject line. So maybe it starts with like, Olivia, ? Have you seen this new weight loss product, right? It might stand out a little bit more because, oh, right, my name was used. So like I see that being used more and more. And the last thing I would just say is a lot of people think like with just marketing in general, everything has to be perfect grammar, like subject line, every first letter of the word has to be capped. But oftentimes a lot of subject lines now that have success, nothing is capped at all. So it's just, again, a matter of like going back, kind of test wide and test narrow and just try different things, because not everything always has to be super fancy, or like email body doesn't always have to be using these gorgeous banners and big CTA buttons. Like text emails do really well, for example, with hyperlinked text as like the link instead of a CTA button. So I would say, yeah, just really try new things to kind of stand out. And, just because you think something might work really well, that might not be the case, right? We're not fortune tellers. So yeah, kind of test as much as possible as, yeah, how I'll end this kind of content subject line little mini segment.
Yeah, I totally agree there. And like you said, as Kenneth, you said on the previous video with us, weird but relevant. It could be applied to a lot of things, but definitely to subject line. So, and to go off of that, how should affiliates measure their affiliate promotions? How would you guys say that?
Yeah, I can maybe start with that one. Because it's a great question because we've spoke about so much stuff that talks about the pre-send, right? But now you've actually sent a campaign and all right, did it do well? Did it do amazing? Did it bomb? So I'd say in terms of email stats, and I could let Mark probably go into this more after I finish, but usually the stats that I'm looking at is not only delivery, but open rates, click to open rates, and looking at data by ISP. So I actually look at, let's say, open rates, Yahoo, Gmail, Hotmail, right? All these ones versus each other, because if I told Mark, hey, my campaign had a 25% open rate, Mark might be like, oh, that's pretty good. But if you look at a more granular level, you might see Hotmail, Yahoo, they all have 35%. Gmail has a 12%. So actually, I can do a lot better with Gmail and something's not inboxing well. But for the most part, when I send affiliate offers, I'm looking more at the offer stats. So for me, the holy grail, it sounds simple, is looking at average revenue by campaign and then seeing how a certain offer did versus that. So let's say I sent an offer today to one of the lists that we manage, right? And that did $5,000 of revenue, and my average campaign does $3,000. Well, at a pretty high level, that did pretty well. I'm probably going to look at resending that offer. There's other metrics that I look at, like EPC, so earnings per click. RPM is a little bit more sophisticated, but breaking down like revenue per thousand sends, looking at clicks and stuff like that. But for me, the holy grail is average revenue per campaign, and then looking at how that campaign did revenue-wise versus that. And the reason I say that is a lot of people would just look at EPC, but you have to also keep in mind how many clicks a campaign is generating. So you can have a $5 EPC, but a campaign only got 100 clicks, right? Versus another campaign had 2,000 clicks, but only 75-cent EPC, but that's technically better, right? So for me, the holy grail is looking at revenue, but I look at all those other stats as well, if that makes sense. What do you think, Mark?
I think you've nailed it. And you've given some really valuable advice to anyone that really wants to optimize their campaigns from an affiliate marketing perspective. I would think, when we look at it too, I would say from a deliverability perspective, the things that I would really look at too are like spam complaints and unsubscribe rates, right? And you mentioned it earlier, is looking at that at a per ISP or mailbox rate. So how many am I getting at Outlook? What about Verizon Media Group? What about Gmail? What about my B2B providers on my list, right? Those are going to be really important metrics too, because obviously like click-through rates and the revenue, tracking all of that from a campaign, we can report on that, and that shows a lot of success. But the things that from a long-term perspective that we would also look at here are those unsubscribe rates and those spam complaints. And we think about what are some good metrics or ballpark or ideas to kind of abide by. Well, like try to keep that spam complaint, to at a 0.1%, right? Or 0.1%. So basically like one complaint per 1,000, people you send that message to. That's a good ballpark. A lot of, mailbox providers, especially Gmail, are really looking at that, right? When we look at, unsubscribe rates, so maybe it's like a 0.5%, right? You can have more unsubscribed, and you kind of want people to unsubscribe or have the option to unsubscribe if they don't want to receive your messages, because if we're continuing to send to them and we don't provide them a way to unsubscribe, well, then we're probably going to get marked as spam, and it'll affect our delivery over time, which will affect the performance and revenue that we're able to generate from those subscribers or from our campaigns going forward. So those are just a couple of things that I would kind of dive in deeper, and that like the mailbox, the ESP that you're working with should really help support you with. Yeah.
And I'll give a little pro tip. I don't know if it's something that Mark and Maripos wants to hear, or it's a little bit in the gray area, but yeah, like the spam complaint thing is kind of huge. And something that we've tested in the past was like, I don't mind so much if someone unsubscribes. The spam complaint is what can really kill your list and your deliverability. And so what we had tested sometimes is we always had a clear unsubscribe button at the top. We want to make it really clear, but something that we tested is we said, hey, if you want to unsubscribe or if you want to complain, click here. And that literally just led someone to unsubscribing. And so that maybe probably saved us from, more spam complaints. And this allowed us to stay below kind of that threshold. So I don't know if that's a super kosher thing that other people should be doing, but it's something that we have had success with.
It's a great tip, Kyle. I mean, that's actually one of the things that we'll recommend to a lot of people if they're having challenges too. We'll say, put that unsubscribe at the top of the email. But also to your point, if they have a complaint or they want to unsubscribe, you're making them be able to send that directly to you. It's better for them to unsubscribe or have that complaint go back to you than it go and be sent to the mailbox provider, which is going to impact, to your point, your deliverability going forward on your campaign. So, that's a great tip that you just gave. Everyone listening should really, really take heed of that, because that actually is a very good practice.
Yeah, that sounds like a great pro tip. Awesome. Thank you. And then what are some good ways for marketers to build their own email list for the purposes of affiliate marketing? I'll let Kyle answer this one first.
Yeah, I'll go first. I'll say it's a little bit easier said than done. It's easy to build a list, but a list where people are actually going to want to purchase products a lot and take out their credit card is a little bit more challenging. In my experience, what we've done is my experience is mostly in the health and wellness space. So we've done a lot of quiz funnels where it might be like the best and worst foods, let's say for diabetics. And maybe we have a 15, 20 question, multiple choice, true or false quiz. We ask them also some demographic questions. And then to get the results of the quiz, they actually have to put in their email and get added to our email list. And then all of a sudden I have a diabetes list, right, where I know a little bit about them. That first email gets like 90% open rate because people want to see the results. And then I could maybe give them some other diabetes content, build a relationship, and then start selling through affiliate promotions. So I've done that before. I've also had like basic opt-in pages where I give away an ebook. So let's say a diabetes meal plan or diabetes recovery guide. If I want to stay in that niche, push traffic to this, ebook opt-in page and then opt people in that way. My challenge there is that I've been able to build email lists really fast, but because what I'm giving away is free, those people don't always want to actually purchase products or buy, supplements are $50 or $100 or $200 or whatever be the case. But those are probably the two ways I had the most success with. Otherwise, I've seen a lot of people in this space try and become an authority of a subject, maybe build a social following and then say, hey, for, more tips and tricks or for maybe insider stuff, follow my email list. So those are the three main ways. Definitely, we make most of our revenue helping vendors who sell a product and then build a list that way that, a buyer's list will always make more than these kind of lists. So maybe you want to create a free plus shipping offer or something like that. But those are definitely the ways that I've seen you can build a list in a very low cost way and very quickly. But, you have to play around to then get a good return kind of per contact and kind of make that profitable. You won't be profitable on day one, that's for sure. Mark, do you know any other kind of tips or are you seeing other ways that people are building lists?
Yeah, I mean, those are great points, Colin. I would actually just ask you a couple questions in terms of ideas and things that we've seen. So, what about like somebody that has started to acquire subscribers, or maybe they have other brands or other lists that they want to grow? Like, have you seen success using any type of journeys, automations, based upon responses that allow them to grow maybe some other lists or become part of another brand within, your Mailpost account? Like, has that been effective in helping you strategically grow lists as well?
Yes. I mean, for the email list management that I run through Digistore, that's kind of our bread and butter is we actually work with vendors who acquire a list to compliantly opt people into a second community and a second email list. So what we do is we basically, as a bonus, we opt these people into another list where we can give them other tips, other tricks, teach them of different products. So let's say, Mark, like you sell a diabetes offer. In my opinion, you shouldn't be sending too many affiliate offers to your brand's email list. So what we do is we work with these guys and we say, hey, continue what you're doing for your brand's list. we're going to opt people into this other diabetes list where we're going to teach them other tips, other tricks, and learn about different offers that we're going to send through, right, affiliate promotions, so affiliate offers. So that's a big success we've had where we generally double people's email revenue. Now, for sure, there's compliant ways and non-compliant ways to do this. A lot of legal jargon and privacy policy stuff, but that's a big way that we've seen people make more money from email. And especially if you're doing all this work to get people's email addresses, well, you should try and maximize your return. So we've had a lot of success there, if that answers your question. Otherwise, I'd say in terms of segmentation, like try and create different, I'll call it mini lists or segments of your main list. So like, let's say you sell a weight loss product, maybe segment your list to see, all right, who's males 60 plus from this list? Oh, who's females are more around 40, like, and kind of break up the list that way. So then you can send a lot more targeted offers, targeted content to these different segments, as opposed to just doing, you know, a full list blast or full list sent.
Yeah, no, I think great point. And like the other thing I would say is like sometimes what we'll see people do, and again, you know, you want to make sure when people opt in, and you mentioned compliance, right? When they opt into the email list, that they know exactly what they're expecting. So, you know, if they're going to be opting into, you know, from a compliance perspective, they're going to be opting in and receiving messages from another brand. It's like, well, you know, click on this box or check this box if you want to if you're okay with receiving mails from this brand as well. And so it's having that properly documented on the subscriber record. The other thing I would say is like sometimes what you'll see people do is they might do like promotions to their list, as long as the list is very, very you know, closely. They might partner with another list manager or another company, right? So we see this a lot in you know, the health and supplement space. We see this a lot in the personal development space, where maybe a Tony Robbins or a Brendan Bouchard, for example, they want to promote or introduce Dean Graziosi, who's another professional development person. Maybe they're people on their list for a specific segment, going back to your segment, have expressed that they're interested in, you know, being part of their promotional offers, and they want to introduce them to something that's going to be very relevant for them, where they can, in a way, they're almost like sharing audiences, right? And they're able to acquire more active subscribers from that other person's brand by sending an email from, you know, their domain and being able to introduce them to this other person or this other affiliate. And then that's one way in which we're seeing a lot of people grow their brands as well. Of course, you don't want to do that all the time, because you should be sending, you know, primarily, you know, value-based emails, your own offers if you are an offer owner. But then you would put these in as part of your affiliate campaigns, which can help to grow your list by leveraging other people's audience. So we see that too a lot.
Awesome. Really great points. And the final thing I have for you guys is, I know AI is really taking off right now. ChatGPT, all of these different AI tools coming out. How do you guys think that AI might affect email marketing or just marketing in general?
Yeah, I'd say like just to start, the kind of evident answer is just copy. Like if you can create the right kind of prompts and teach ChatGPT about your audience and stuff like that, like you can come up with some killer copy. Going back to like testing, like split testing it sounds so much easier with AI, because like you can say, hey, create 3 different variations of this subject line, create 3 different variations of this, right, email copy. So it's just really easy to create different swipes or different subject lines that you can test really easily. But yeah, I've seen like some of the best affiliate creatives are now being written by AI. And then like once you find like let's say you write your own swiper creative that works really well, and like you see the stats of, oh, the revenue using this creative killed it, go into ChatGPT and then create a bunch of variations. Because as an email list manager, offers have a pretty short shelf life generally when it comes to affiliate marketing, because there's so many other affiliates promoting an offer. And so if there's an offer that like absolutely killed it to my list, I want to send that offer pretty often and kind of resend it to the same list. But of course, you don't want to use the exact same email copy. So AI now, you're able to just quickly churn out a lot more new email creatives or variations. And this way you can really maximize the earnings of a hot offer, right, while it's hot and not already too saturated. So I'd say in my experience so far relating to email, definitely on the copy side is where AI is already helping a ton there. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, I agree, Kyle. I mean, I think what I've seen and even just playing around with myself, I mean, I think to your point, the better prompt engineer you are, right? The better at using the tool you are in terms of giving it instructions, the better the results you're going to be able to get. And like, I was having this conversation with a friend the other day where it was like, in ChatGPT, when you open up that thread, right, or you keep a thread open, like the more you're on that thread, it's going to remember everything that you've told it. So if you give it 10 different prompts and you don't like what it's giving you, you can say, look, but I want you to make this more specific. Say it like you would to a 5-year-old. Put it into 2 sentences instead of 5. The better you are as like at using the tool, like similar to like a contractor that comes into your house, you give them the tools, right? They have all their tool belt. The better they are at using those tools, the better the result they're going to be able to produce that you're looking for. And it's the same thing with ChatGPT. And we're simply seeing it while there's a lot of, AI tools and a lot of, functions, whether it's video or whether it's, using it for podcasts. You can even create your own faceless YouTube channels doing it now. We're seeing it as well more on the copy side. We feel like it's the lowest barrier to entry. I've seen even people create software products and coding through it. But again, you need to know, like literally in a day, create their own software products. But again, they had a technical background and they knew exactly how to instruct it through proper prompt engineering. So maybe somebody, that hasn't built a technology platform may not be as effective, but definitely copywriters and people that are responsible for marketing and using words as a way to sort of help them sell, they can use this as a tool in their tool belt to help them create so many different variations and split test things to produce better results. And definitely we're seeing it on the copy side too. So it'll be interesting though, like to see, how we do this if algorithms start to pick up a more AI generated copy. And then if they affect that in deliverability in the long run, that's going to be something that's interesting. We're already seeing that certain platforms can detect that, but like, how does that affect something negatively? We're not seeing enough data to say that right now, but that is something where, may become a question, down the road as we start, seeing more and more AI generated content.
Yeah, and just a couple other just last points on this. One, I don't know how I forgot to mention it earlier, is so before this crazy AI craze, this was a few years ago, Advertise Health, which is the agency that I used to somewhat run, where we did email list management. We actually created our own email software that uses AI. So we had all the stats of the offers that we were promoting and all the ESP stats coming into our platform. And because we had all this data, eventually after, let's say 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, the AI would actually say for all of our different email lists, what offers to send in combination with what creatives to what segments to maximize our earnings, right? So we had all this historical data and the AI actually told us what to send. Whereas if there's any email list managers listening to this, how tedious it can be to trying to figure out, right, what offer to send to your list. So this was really an amazing way for us to maximize our earnings. And last thing I'd say is, like in a lot of my welcome series, I like giving away free gifts, giving value to these new subscribers. And so one of the things is we used to use Fiverr to create, let's say, a diabetes list, maybe an ebook or a free meal plan. Right now, I can create a 21-day diabetes meal plan in ChatGPT in probably a few seconds, right? So just a lot easier to kind of build great content or kind of free gifts that you can give to your list to kind of build that value. Even with all these other like AI design tools, right? You can have ChatGPT write this meal plan, then use a design AI tool to make a nice little meal plan with some pictures and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden you have this great gift that you can give to your subscribers, in like one of your first welcome emails. So I find that's pretty cool. And yeah, I hated working with Fiverr. So it's a nice, easier solution now.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, ChatGPT for being free is such a powerful tool. And like you said, Mark, you just have to guide it in the right direction and give it as much context as possible. But you can get some really wonderful copy. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Mark, I know you spoke about Maripost in the beginning, but if you just kind of want to talk a little bit more about Maripost and what Maripost can do for anyone in the audience, that'd be awesome.
Sure. Thanks, Olivia. Yeah. So, I mean, I think at the end of the day, like if you're an organization that is, trying to generate more revenue through your email marketing, it's definitely worth, having a conversation with our team because really, that is what are the bread and butter of what we do here. We're a marketing automation platform, but email marketing is definitely something that pretty much every single one of our customers start off and using because of all the things we talked about today with regards to affiliate marketing, with regards to deliverability, inboxing. That's really something where people are going to get a lot of value from leveraging us. Or if they're using a ton of different platforms, maybe they're using another tool for SMS, maybe they have another tool for social, maybe they're using 7 or 8 different, they're using something else for their commerce or their websites. They can consolidate everything into one platform through leveraging Maropost. So really, when we look at it, when we say a marketing automation solution, we aim to be a solution where they can remove 7 to 10 different technologies in their tech stack and really run their marketing off one platform, have one support model, one team that really serves as an extension of their team that knows their business so that they can generate as much revenue as possible. And so I think, one thing that might be valuable to the listeners of this, Olivia and Kyle, is like, we'd be happy to, explore or look at, the domains, the content that a brand is sending out, anyone that wants to know more about how they're doing from a deliverability perspective and what they can specifically do better to get better results from their affiliate campaigns. Feel free to send an email directly to me, which is Mark, MARC, at Maropost. That's MAROPOST.com. And we'll do an assessment essentially and provide them with feedback. So at least they're in a situation where they know what they can and what they should be doing, maybe to increase some of those engagement rates and get better results from their marketing campaigns.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. And I'll be putting Mark's email and Maripost's website down below for you guys to check it out. But thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Really thorough answers. So super appreciate it. I learned so much too. So thanks a bunch.
Appreciate it, everyone.
Cool. Thanks, Olivia.
Well, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. As always, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next month.